Traditionally, cover one has the post safety or the safety that's in the middle of the field, the high safety, just backpedaling and making sure nobody gets behind them. But what do you do on early downs? In the NFL, we're seeing more play action. We're seeing more running quarterbacks, meaning we're getting design quarterback runs. In a closed post defense, like we see in cover one, the quarterback player is actually really deep. So to defend against these quarterback runs, these RPOs, and these play actions, especially when we get deep crossing routes, teams like the Browns are using what's called a cheat technique on that post safety. We're going to break that down in 3 different plays from this preseason and show you how that technique helps these defense mitigate a lot of the risk of running cover one on an early down. In our first clip, we're going to be watching Delpit for the Browns. Now, the Browns are going to end up getting in a cover one. That's been what they mainly want to run on early downs. So Delpit is going to be our post safety. We're going to be watching his technique. Now, he is watching this triangle right here. He's going to also be watching the quarterback. So the moment that the ball is snapped, he's looking at high hat, low hat reads, anybody pulling, any kind of run action or any kind of pass action read. Once he does that, he's going to get his eyes to the nearest threat, which is going to be the slot receiver, and looking at departure speed to then allow him to know, hey, is this a run or is this a pass? So as we see here at the snap of the ball, you can see that he's going to take a little bit of a step off. He sees that this is a hi-hat. And the reason why this is a hi-hat is this center is going to end up going lateral. Now, remember, in the NFL, in a pass, you can't go more than a yard down the field. So this is going to be a really passive attack for the center. Gives him an idea of, okay, this might be a pass. I'm going to snap my eyes to the slot receiver. Obviously, we're getting a departure speed that is very fast and inside for this. You can see now he's going to start cheating his way across. So he's essentially going to get out a lateral. I really like this. He's giving a little bit of a crossover run to cut this deep cross off. The moment that this slot sees that the safety has nailed down on it, he can then pivot back around. This is a really good example of how you can then, using this cheat technique, you can then create different kind of scenarios where you pass things off. So right here, what we're going to get by the safety is a step replace. He's going to see this, so he's going to shuffle to cut this cross off. That's going to indicate for this slot, I can now turn back inside, because what you get a lot of times from these offenses is that you're going to get a deep cross to drain this out. And then they know right now that they have an isolation. So he's going to go and cut the dig. So Love is seeing this. You can see his vision cone is downfield. He's going to see this flash of color underneath, and he's going to know right now that I need to hit the check down in the flat. So this is, let's go back to the very beginning of this. Once we're at the beginning, you can see, so we're going to get a step off. We get the deep cross. The slot sees this. He's going to pivot back around. You can see Love's going to see this. He doesn't like it. So what does he do? He throws it to the check down. It's a great example of running a cheat technique on an early down by the Browns. And this mitigates a deep cross. So they're actually going to switch the deep cross and then cut the dig off of it, off this play action, forcing a low throw in the zone. Ends up not being much of a gain. And I think it's actually a loss here by the Packers. Here we have the Browns again. We're going to be watching Delpit. We're actually going to get this same concept from the Packers, but we're not going to get a play action pass from this. So we get the same kind of a cross motion to change it into a 2x2. We're going to end up getting a snag concept at the top. So all that really is a hitch with a flat. What that's trying to do is get these guys to nail down, and then they're going to run this deep cross here with the dig on the backside. So this is essentially going to be the exact same thing that we saw. So you can see here, let's watch Delpit at the very beginning of this. Once we get the snap, you can see he's going to shuffle. He's clearly looking at this. He sees high hat. He gets his eyes to the slot. He's going to shuffle to cut this dig off. Once this thing goes flat, he's going to nail down on it. Watch this slot robot back into the dig. The quarterback doesn't anticipate it, and he tries to throw it into the window. This is really good coverage by the corner, but you can also see if he leads this receiver at all, this is probably a pick here by the slot. And so he ends up throwing it outside behind the receiver, which is probably a good thing. And you can also see that this was the check down. It wouldn't have been anything. So on 2nd and 9, now we're looking at a 3rd and 13. So this ends up being a kind of a dangerous throw, as you can see. But again, let's watch this technique again with the cheat. He's not backpedaling at the snap of the ball. All he's going to do is step replace. He sees that he's getting some sort of this would actually kind of be a stair step route or a climb route. He's going underneath and then over. You can see Delpit really doesn't come off of his line at all. He's going to step, shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. He tells him, hey, I got it. You can see that he pushes his hand out. Hey, I got it. And then he's going to robot. The slot is going to robot back into this dig. You can nice coverage here all along. We have the cut on the flat. We have the nail down on the hitch. We have the cut here on the cross. And then now we have two on the dig here. And you can see that the outlet is no longer there. So this is, again, an example of an early down. Now it is 2nd and 9, so it's a little bit longer. But this is a great example of not just having that guy bail right away. On our next one, we're going to look at how this reacts against an actual run. In our last shot, we're going to actually watch Delpit versus a run. So you can see we're getting another cross motion. We're getting a 2x2 set. Everything's setting up, but we're probably not going to get any kind of crossing route or a dig just because we have a slotted tight end over here. So you can see he's walking down. He's communicating pre-snap. We get the cross motion back. What he's going to do, again, he's not going to bail at the snap of the ball. He's going to be watching the mesh. He sees that the quarterback turns around. He sees ball on the belly, and now he's going to attack downhill, and he's going to run the J. This is a really good example of why the Browns are one of the best defenses in the NFL and how they get away with running cover one at volume. Again, cover one is not great when you maybe have a deficiency in the front or you miss a gap. That thing's going to spring, and then your post safety, who could be, backpedaling to oblivion, is going to be late to fit on this. This is how you can cheat a guy, basically the box count, and you can steal a guy back into the box by running this cheat technique. You can see Delpit here is going to all he's going to do is get that little step replace here. He's going to prime his feet, plant, and then he's going to attack downhill off the ball, and he's going to run the J. And this ends up going for maybe 1 yard gain. So what we've seen here is 3 different examples of using a cheat safety on early downs, 2 against the pass, 1 against the run. And this is really a great example of, again, a safety staying at about 10 yards, seeing the ball on the belly, and then attacking downhill in the J, in running the J, this is something that's taught from all the way from Pee Wee all the way through to the NFL. These are best practices. And this is one way that you can, on early downs, add to the box numbers, cut any kind of RPO, cut any slant, really help yourself against these crossing routes that we're seeing from play action. And the Browns do this extremely well. Again, this is the preseason. The Browns are really fun to watch in the preseason because you're going to see clinic cuts of cover 3. You're going to see clinic cuts of cover 1.